What's up, guys, and here's another review for you today. This is the quarter scale flash by Xionart. So I got this a while ago and I haven't had a chance to review it. Obviously it's been unboxed already, but cool piece, you know, by Abdul and Xionart. I say this all the time, he puts out a really good product for the price. You know, you're paying for Xionart stuff, you're paying, you know, 20 to 30% less than what you pay for other producers. But you get what, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say you get what you pay for, because the quality on these is really good for what you're paying for. There's a little more work required. There's a little more cleanup. They're not ready for paint, but they're really nice. And this guy's really cool. I will take it apart a little bit to show you how it comes apart. So all these little flash pieces come off, these little lightning bolts. These little pieces come off like this. And I'll try not to forget to tell you what I think I would charge to paint this. These come off. And again, these have like a little bit of flex to them. In case you're not familiar with resin, good resin should not be brittle. Good quality resin will have some flex to it. If it's a brittle resin, it's cheap, just FYI. So if you get something and it feels brittle, then they're using cheap resin. Now, the Hellboys by Naren, the resin he uses is brittle, but it's high quality. So it's kind of an oxymoron on his. I'm not sure what kind of resin he's using, but it kind of has this fiberglass smell to it. It doesn't smell like normal resin, so I'm not sure what he's using. And then these guys come off, and then he's a solid piece like that. So we'll go in reverse. So here's the base, and this thing is solid. It is a big hunk of resin. You know, he doesn't, you know, little things that he doesn't do a vinyl on the bottom. Who cares? If you want one, make one. So that's where you save a little money. This base is super simple, but it tells a ton of what's going on. You know, it's a street, it can be whatever. Well, you know it's a street because there's a pipe in there. So that's a great little detail that's in the base. It looks like he's tearing ass down the road. It's cracking. You know, it's exposed the pipe from going so fast. The sculpt is really nice. Love the expression on his face. Looks like he's just ready to kick some ass. You know, so Abdul was always asking me, do you want the factory to clean it up? It's like, yes, clean it up. I think on the next one I may say no, just to see what the difference is. Now I'm not sure if the primer was wet when they put this away, or is this, maybe it was hot, like where it was shipping, but the styrofoam looks like it just kind of, it may just been hot wherever it came from, because the styrofoam kind of melted on there. That's no big deal, because I'm going to sand this guy overall anyway. The seams need a little more work. You know, just a little sanding here. Nothing major, mostly just sanding. Sometimes they over sand, sometimes they don't sand enough. On this one, they didn't sand quite enough. It's a fine line when you're cleaning up mold lines and seam lines. You want to go far enough to get rid of the seam line or the mold line, but if you go too far, then you've added more work. So right here, like along here, I can still see the mold line, which is fine. I'd rather see that and know where I have to clean it up than the factory go in there with a grinder and get rid of all this muscle detail. I much rather have a mold line to deal with myself than have to go back and try to add re-add detail. Like it's a little flat right here, so I have to go around that out. But I'm not complaining. This is just things I'm pointing out based on, you know, my experience with building and stuff. So I think it's a great kit. I love the pose. I love the expression on his face. You know, for what this guy's cost, it's an amazing piece, I think. I mean, this is cool. I mean, come on. It looks like he's kicking ass. The quality of these guys is actually really, really nice. They did go through and clean up the mold lines a little bit, and I see them there just a little bit, but that's an easy, again, it's a little more sanding. I'd rather have more sanding than having to go back and re-sculpt detail, because I suck at sculpting. I have to give myself props though. On the Naren Hellboys, the one that has a broken nose, unless it was labeled on the bottom with whose kit it was, I would have no idea which one had the broken nose, because I did a really good job on it. So props to me for that. I'm rather proud of that, because I'm not a sculptor. These guys just plug in and they fit perfectly. The fit is very, very good. And they only fit in one spot. Again, they're keyed to fit appropriately. There's one piece I had took me a little while to kind of figure out where it goes, but once I figured it out, it was easy. Let's see, this guy goes there. And this guy goes, I think, on his arm. Nope, right here on his waist. Like that. And then this piece comes around here. Oop, do I have that around? Nope, this guy comes over here. Sorry. This one comes here. So the fit is so good that like they don't want to come out at all right now. So like for transport, it would be real easy to take this apart, pack it, and transport it. And even with these little fins that would be fairly delicate, they fit pretty good right now. But once they're primed in paint, they'll fit really well. So it'll be easy to take out and put back in if you want to transport it, or if you're doing this for a client. I love this detail right here on this hand where it's, you know, coming forward. This one was a little tricky for me to find out. I had to look at some pictures to kind of finally figure out how it went on. Let's see, I think it wraps. I'll probably get it wrong again. Let's see. How's this go on there? Oh, it goes this way. I always think it wants to go through the hand, but it doesn't. It just comes on like this. Just like that. Perfect. And then you got these little guys for us. Boots. Now this is just me. Again, I always say this, I'm not a comic guy. I don't know a whole lot about these characters. I know a little bit about him because my son watches the Flash show on Netflix, which I actually really like. So he thought this guy was Zoom. He's like, no, it's Flash. Like, no, it looks like Zoom. Like, anyway, so he knows more about him than I do, and he just turned 8 today, so he can educate me. Where is it? Trying to think if I have this on the wrong side. I may have these in wrong again. I don't know. Like I said, these guys seem a little interchangeable as far as where they go. I don't think it goes that way. Does it go this way? No. There, it goes that way, I think. You guys tell me if I have it in wrong. I could have it in wrong. That's what she said. Okay, there we go. And then the one's on the side of the head. And I noticed this is part of his costume and stuff. I like these things on his head. I'm not a fan of them on his legs. I think maybe it's a little over cheesy. That's just me. But I know it's part of the character and part of his costume. So there you go. Cool piece. Let's check out the dimensions. So from the front of his hand to the back, he's deep. He's 27 inches deep. So you have to either, I have him up on my bookshelf over here at an angle so he'll fit. He's not very tall, so he'll fit overall height. He's from the bottom of the base. Well, he's still a decent height, even though he's in this really cool pose. It's right at 18 inches. And I'll measure his height. You really can't get a sense of how big he is. It's right at 16 inches. I guess maybe you want to get an accurate, size of him. If you go from maybe the middle of this foot to the top of his head, even though he's outstretched, you got to get a sense. And he's right at 19 inches, roughly 19 inches tall when he's standing. But cool piece. Again, this would be, I want to say a relatively simple paint job, just because there's a little more cleanup on this kit, like most of the Xionart stuff. And again, you're not paying the extra $200 or $300 for the factory to go in there and spend all the time to clean it up. They clean it up to a point, and then there's a little more work for the painter to do. But again, I don't mind that because I'm a builder painter, so it just costs more for whoever's having a commission, having to pay someone to paint it. I think this would be like a probably like a $600 paint job in my opinion. If it was like a Bushi kit, I'd probably do like my normal 500. But with the extra little bit of cleanup, looking at about another 10 or 15 hours of just kind of sanding and smoothing things out. It would take me a day and a half to prep this ready for paint. The base is ready to go. That's ready to go. There's no cleanup there, other than a little bit of flash. No pun intended. Flash, if you don't know, is excess plastic or resin from when two things are molded or casted, and that material squeezes out between the molds. It's very thin. It's like paper thin. That's called flash. This has a little bit of flash on it. A little bit of mold lines to clean up. Again, I think you give me a day, 10 hours, 12 hours, I could have it cleaned up and primed, ready to go. So that's where that extra $100 comes in for painting this guy. But his color scheme is fairly simple, and the pre-paints that I've seen of this are really done well. I like the kind of fire effect they have going on the road, which is probably what I'll do just because it looks really cool. But yeah, really nice piece by Xionart, and really cool. I don't know if he's making any more of these. He told me the molds were getting to the end of their life. I don't see that right here. Everything looks pretty crisp as far as casting quality. Like I said, the mold lines will need a little more work from what the factory did, but you can usually tell when a mold is getting towards the end of its life. You'll find details that are just completely missing altogether because some of that silicone had been removed from the mold from previous castings. So there's a void there, and the resin fills in that void. The Mad X talk I did for Sonu, there was actually pieces of silicone in his hair, which tells me the molds were getting towards the end of life when that piece was casted. Silicone breaks down because of heat, and depending on what type of resin they use to cast their pieces and how often they use those molds will determine how long they last. A good mold maker and caster can get, if they use slow cure resin and they're not trying to cast, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 pieces a day, they can probably get 40 pulls, maybe 50 pulls out of a mold. If you're trying to crank them out really fast, you could cut that in half easily, 20, 25 pulls, because the heat from the curing resin breaks down the silicone. So yeah, if the caster's not trying to crank them out real fast, you can get more pulls, but it depends on how fast he's trying to produce them. Guys like Randy Cooper, who are from the movie industry, you know, he's worked on Terminator and stuff like that. When you're working in movies, you got to get stuff done fast. So you make a mold, you try to get, you know, 5 or 6 really good pulls from it, and then you move on. But you know, when you're making kits, making molds is an expensive process. I inquired about having a mold made for something in my mind, relatively simple, and it was like $2 grand just for the molds. Didn't include any casting costs. So yeah, molds are expensive, casting is expensive. That's why you pay what you pay. So, but yeah, cool piece by Xionart. I'll put the link down below. Give him a shout if you're interested in, if he has any left, I'm not sure. But again, if I was to paint this, it'd be like a $700 job in my opinion. So there you go. That's my last review for today. And now I'm going to take it easy and upload videos, and I have some work in progress Hellboy videos I need to upload because I haven't uploaded in a while. I've just been recording and painting and stuff. So today's going to be a video day before we have friends and family over for my son's birthday. But as always, thanks for watching. It's Matt Mrozek. We'll catch you guys next time.